Please don't let this be true. Please do not let Robert Downey Jr. come back. And I know I'm going to get shit about this, but let's talk about it. So look, it's no secret that I don't like Iron Man, okay? I don't. And you know what? Certain people like certain characters, certain people like certain things in their heroes, and yada yada, and blah, 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 blah. There are things about Tony Stark that bother me. They do. Look, Batman is the 1%, but in a lot of ways, Batman doesn't act like the 1%. And in a lot of ways, Batman is a better person. But then you go over to Tony Stark and, like, he's an extreme, ridiculous womanizer. He's an alcoholic. And I know that that is what it is, but, like, I don't care for him. Okay? His character flaws bother me. They always have. They always will. It's just something ingrained in me that I don't like Tony Stark. Okay? But that's not what this is about. This is not about me and not liking him, and you're not going to change my opinion. Look, I like him in terms of Robert Downey Jr., in terms of what I got to see in the MCU. If that makes any difference to you whatsoever, before you click off this video and immediately go down to the comments and shit on me for not liking something. But look, this is a bad idea. They should not let him come back. Sometimes, because I understand this, he puts asses in seats. He's worth money. He built the MCU. He did. I'm not going to deny that. Iron Man built the MCU. Without him, it didn't happen. Okay? But sometimes, in fact, more often than it usually happens, the integrity of the art should come first. Tony Stark, in terms of this continuing storyline based in a real-world equivalent, is dead. It cheapens the narrative and destroys everything you accomplished with that character if he just comes back. And I don't care what storyline you have to cover it. It cheapens it. And I believe this for a lot of things. I didn't like it in Power Rangers when the Pink Ranger died, and then at the end, she was just alive for no explainable reason whatsoever, and then she showed up in the crossover, and everybody just acted like it was okay. It's not okay. The character should be dead. I didn't like it in Dragon Ball. Remember Dragon Ball? When they killed a couple characters, and then they gave you hope that some of these characters could be saved because of the Dragon Balls. Okay? You can wish a person back. There are stipulations on doing so, but you can do this. Then it comes to Dragon Ball Z, and they kill a couple of characters, and then it seems hopeless when Piccolo dies, only for them to say, well, there are Namekian Dragon Balls. So once again, we ignore the idea as dramatic death, and we go to Namek and we get some Dragon Balls, and then we bring our people back from the dead. And then now we know that the Namekian Dragon Balls exist. So then we get Dende, and Dende creates a dragon that's even more powerful than the one that we had, technically, in terms of granting wishes, so on and so forth. We lost some power, gained some power. But one of the things we gained was the ability to bring people back from the dead over and over and over and over and over again. And then, the only way to create dramatic death was to literally destroy the entire fucking planet. That's what happened there. We had to create some sort of emotional turbulence, and sure, Boo was killing everybody, but why the fuck did it matter? We were just going to use our Dragon Balls later after all this was done. We were going to bring them back from the dead, and who gives a shit? And then, we go on from there, we go into Super. And we have this fucking fake moment where Roshi... Goku is all sad because Roshi in the tournament. And I'm like, so what? Who gives a fuck? Why do you care anymore? That trope is dead to you. Just like in comic books. They're always like, oh man, did you hear that so-and-so character might die? Or this guy died? Or this happened? And blah. Who gives a fuck? Comic book death no longer matters. Dragon Ball death no longer matters. Most anime death no longer matters. These characters are coming back. And we know that. But in the MCU, you have a chance to set a precedent. To hold true to the art that you have created. And keep the impact moments that matter. If we bring Robert back. If we bring Iron Man back to the screen. No matter what storyline you put down. From that point on, it cheapens the moment when he dies at the end of said movie that he dies. And this is for any character. So, if a character dies in Endgame, so what? We've seen him come back. This is the problem with bringing characters back, and I'm hoping that they don't make this mistake because it cheapens everything that Tony got. That massive arc that led up to that moment where he redeems himself from being the kind of person that he was being. He went from being the guy that caused the death of millions to being the guy that caused the life of millions. That's a big deal. That's a Han Solo moment. When we are introduced to Han Solo, he is a killer. He is a ruthless, scavenging, out for himself killer. He does what he needs to do to survive. It's just like the scene from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. When an idiot comes talking shit, he shot that idiot. So you're talking about a guy that would kill somebody at the dinner table to save his own skin, to going to the last movie when they say this is essentially a suicide mission, and even the princess, who'd been risking her life for years, looks over and says, what idiot did they get to pull this off? And he's the idiot, because his entire character arc has changed. He's a new character from where he was. The guy that you met in episode 4 is not the guy that you leave in episode 6. That's important. And it's important for things like Iron Man as well. The guy we met in Iron Man 1 is not the guy that dies in Endgame. But if you bring him back, you cheapen that moment. And you cheapen the idea that anybody else could ever face the ultimate sacrifice, that characters in your universe don't die, they don't stay gone. And it's the same thing with stuff like The Flash. You kill a character in The Flash, and then all of a sudden, because of time, shit, or whatever, the guy's back, and who gives a fuck anymore? These kinds of things ruin the biggest dramatic thing you have: death. It is the ultimate card in your arsenal for telling dramatic stories. When that character is dead, that's a huge, huge deal. And it's one of those things that I'm arguing with myself about right now, is that I don't have the gall to simply kill off my character and bring him back later on or something. I don't have that. Now, because of that, I am currently in the process of writing pages for what I hope to be my published comic book. And I have a couple of characters. And if said characters die, I got news for you. They're dead. I don't care how liked they were by the public. And if that costs me my comic book in the long run, say something goes, because you never know. You don't know what the future holds. Say I write one book turns into 2, into 3, into 4, into 5, into 6, and before long, I don't even realize it. I'm sitting on a 40-book series and I kill somebody and it happens to be a character that everybody loves. I'm sorry, that character is dead. It's dead. We're moving the fuck on. And you know what? You can always like that character. But the legacy of that character is harmed by me going back on that play. When L dies in Death Note, he stays dead. Why does that character have such an impact? Because he's dead. When Aerith dies in Final Fantasy VII, Aerith, you choose, guess what? She's dead. She don't come back. Those are important factors in playing the, quote, death card when you are writing dramatic anything. Tony Stark is dead. Robert Downey Jr. should not come back to the MCU. And all of these rumors have me worried because I know that money talks. And I know that if he is legitimately having his lawyers or whatever talk to Disney, and Disney, of course, wants asses in seats, they very well might think about doing this. And I'm praying, I'm hoping, I'm telling you, do not let him come back. Keep him dead. Unpopular opinion, I'm sure. I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.